Yo, hell yeah. Wyatt begins in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yo, welcome to Wyatt. And I'm your host, Wyatt O'Brien Evans. Grr, woof, God damn it, woof, 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 woof. Hi, I said hi to all my YouTubers out there. If you like what you hear and if you like what you see, and I know you do, click that subscribe button at the bottom of your screen. And while you're at it, because I know you loves me, leave me some likes and leave me some comments as well. Today's Wyatt is going to be hot up in here. Returning guest is author extraordinaire Robert Karl. He has just released 2 new novels at the same time, at one time, y'all. They are titled Drag Wars and the Goldies. So all I can say is let's get it on. So without further ado, Wyatt, I said Wyatt, welcomes back the LGBTQ plus rights advocate, educator, and prolific novelist extraordinaire, Mr. Robert A. Karl. Talk at me, baby. How the hell are ya?
I'm doing great, and cheers to you, Mr. Wyatt O'Brien Evans, Mr. Woe himself. Thank you so much for inviting me back. And yes, indeed, we have our merchandise, we have our books, we are rolling, man. We are really rolling.
And we are shameless and we don't care.
There's no other way to be.
That's
Why be shy?
Why?
I am not going to be shy anymore.
Good for you.
Not that I ever was, but I'm going to be even more not shy than I.
I love it. I love it. I want to thank you so much for stopping by, Wyatt, man. It's always jazz to have you on the show. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I have to say, the first time you had me on, I was a nervous wreck.
No.
And you set me at ease, and now I feel like I'm a professional. So, you know, I even slept last night. I didn't spend the night sitting up worrying about it. So that's a good sign.
You're just a shameless professional. But okay, let me say this first to you. Let me tell you something. I got a bone to pick with you. Why in the hell did you have to write 2 books at one time? I mean, man, you're making us other indie authors look bad. I mean, so just stop it. I said, stop this nonsense. 2 books at one time. Now that I got that off my chest,
I hope you feel better now.
I feel a little bit better. But listen, in all seriousness, Mr. Karl, congratulations. You know, like we were talking before we started the show, it's difficult to do 1 book at one time. You did 2. They are absolutely awesome. And you know what? Let me just tell you this, and we'll let you talk. If I were wearing my do-rag, I'd lift it up for you and mad appreciation. You know?
Boy, you really take me back. You take me back when you talk like that.
But
I appreciate that.
Oh, listen, my pleasure. Let me tell our audience, in all seriousness, the new books are new novels are Drag Wars and the Goldies. Man, you have crafted 2 utterly moving, thoroughly entertaining, thought-provoking, resonating works. They are both textured and nuanced. So my audience, you have got to get copies of Drag Wars and the Goldies. Now, we're going to do a deep dive into them a little bit later, but do this for me, my friend. Give us the 25-word elevator pitch about each one of them.
Okay, so the Goldies, the subtitle is 50th High School Reunion.
Mm-hmm.
It's the story of characters who share a common experience in the past, which is high school. They all took their separate paths in life, and the characters in the book are introduced as they receive an invitation to their 50th high school reunion. Now they're on a journey with a common mission to show their pride to their former classmates, something that wasn't possible to do 50 years ago when they attended an all-boys Catholic high school. Now, the first thing they have to do is find one another and determine how best to accomplish their goals. They join together, they meet extraordinary challenges, and they form a new bond. This is the story of people who, even though they are now in their 60s, they still have something to show. Pride. Pride in themselves, pride in their identities, and a desire to openly celebrate in an environment that may or may not accept them. In our society, we all too often ignore, seniors, hoping they'll quietly go away or just sit on the sidelines. The Goldies refuse to accept that as their fate. They're still vibrantly alive, they still have a purpose, and they still matter. This is a story of celebration, a true coming-of-age story, unlike anything that you've ever read. Because really, we're always coming of age as we enter different stages of life. Old age is no different. Romance is still possible, and the characters here dance their way to a celebration of their lives.
Now, you know what? I really have a bone to pick with you because that was 1,000 words. That was not a 25-word elevator pitch, Mr. Karl.
Well, you know, I've been known to be verbose, so
okay.
What can I say?
No, all right. Drag Wars, 25 words or less, because we're going to talk about both of them later. 25 words.
Okay. Drag Wars is the story of a competition, but so much more. There's a lot that goes on at Club Casa de Fuego, located in the ghetto of North Philadelphia, both on stage and off. Lots of drag performances with varying degrees of success as the snark sharks look on from the sidelines, constantly commenting on the queens and their shows. Cut.
You know what? You're just incorrigible, but that's okay. You said, I still love you. You're still a good friend, but that's okay. Okay, both the Goldies and Drag Wars are receiving rave reviews. And let me read some because I love reading reviews of other authors' work. Okay, regarding the Goldies, the influential Kirkus Reviews states this: a moving story that celebrates the authentic identities of LGBTQ plus people into their golden years, end quote. Here's another review of the Goldies. This was an interesting take on what many of us don't consider until we ourselves are staring at our past from our future selves. Now, concerning Drag Wars, Kirkus Reviews states this, and I quote, sex, humor, social commentary, and musical numbers animate this absorbing drag drama, end quote. Here's another review of Drag Wars. I wasn't sure what to expect with this book. I thought it might be like an episode of Real Housewives of Drag Queen Alley. I love that. Instead, the story involved not only the drag competitions, but also delved into the personal lives of the queens. This could make a really good series. I know I'd enjoy a second act, end quote. Now, Mr. Karl, don't go breaking your hand, patting yourself on the back, but what do you think about that feedback?
You know, I truly appreciate first when people take the time to read what I've written, and then the add-on for someone to write a review and to let me know that they've connected with the characters, because that's what I'm always trying to do,
right.
Have readers connect with the characters. And so, like, my heart leaps when I read something like that and hear people describe their connection with the stories. You know, I try to put the characters in situations that to me are realistic and lifelike and could happen to real people. And so I just want to thank the people who read the books and the people who write reviews. I just appreciate them so much, and they really inspire me to keep going.
Well, us other indie authors, man, have to step up their game, because I'm in the middle now of writing the sequel to Nothing Can Tear Us Apart Shattered. And I mean, again, congratulations on two new, well-received books. Let me ask you, Robert, why did you decide to write two concurrently, and what was your writer's process?
Well, the reason I did it was because I came up with two ideas and I couldn't prioritize one over the other.
Gotcha.
I thought both stories were so good that I couldn't just write one and put another one off for another year. So I decided to tackle both. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't impossible, clearly, because I did it. But would I recommend it? No. But lots of people have different projects going on at the same time.
True.
And I knew that in order to keep myself going, I publicly stated the goal online, challenging myself to publish the two books on the same day, because that way, even though I know no one would say to me, oh, you didn't get one in June. You got one in June, you got the other one in July. No one would ever say that, but I would know. And so I made it public, and my friends were like, because I started to waver at one point. My one friend said, the goal is to publish two on the So I was reminded of that, and in a good way. But the bottom line was that I couldn't set aside either one of these stories, because I think both of them are frankly unique. They're something new and original.
Right.
And I could not, like I said, prioritize one over the other. So I went with both of them. And I'm so happy that I did. The process itself you asked about, the one thing that made it difficult was that, you'd work on one and then you switch over to the other. And then sometimes you'd lose kind of the flow of one of them.
Right.
And that was a little bit difficult to get back into the actual flow of it. And then I would find myself making little mistakes in details. So I'll give you one example. There's a couple in the Goldies who live in Stone Harbor, New Jersey. And later on, I'm reading back to myself about them living in Ocean City. And I'm thinking, where did that come from? And so you have to be careful about things like that.
Whoa. Okay. Well, since we have a lot to cover with the Goldies and Drag Wars, let's do like this warp speed journey through the corridors of time so that our audience can reacquaint themselves with your backstory, because people hear Wyatt. I said Wyatt, a nosy like that. So, where were you born and raised?
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Raised in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Ah, okay. How far is Harrisburg from Philly?
100 miles.
Oh, okay. Got it. What was Robert like as a little boy, a little nipper? Give us like three characteristic attributes that best described you.
Well, I was curious. I wanted to know about the world, and I wanted to explore the world, and I wanted to experience the world. I was also a bookworm. I love to read, but I have to say, in my time, the books that I really needed to read did not exist. Which is to say, books that were about gay positive gay experiences.
Right.
They weren't there for me. So while I was well read, I wasn't really reading about myself in any of these books. I was reading about other people, and that is a big reason why I'm an author today. The third thing is, this might surprise you, I was very religious.
Oh,
I
okay.
went to a Catholic school, and when you're a kid and you're fed that ideology day after day after day, it's easy to believe it.
Right.
And I'm not putting down anyone who believes in any religion, believe whatever you want, but I have done a complete turnaround. I don't believe in any of it. I don't practice any of it. But I'm not out to attack anyone.
Sure, sure.
I believe in freedom of religion, and I also believe in freedom from religion. So that's me as a kid.
Okay. I always like to ask that question because a lot of times it gives you a picture of who you are as an adult.
Right.
Okay, I'm curious about this. Speaking of curiosity, Robert, we are both men of a certain age. So what was your coming out process like rather? Because the world for us LGBTQ plus individuals has changed significantly in so many ways from what it was in the 50s and the 60s, for example.
Well, as you're well aware, coming out is a process that goes on many
Hmm.
times. But my first coming out experience was when I was at Penn State University and I was starting to go out to bars and things and meet other gay people.
Uh-huh.
And I was going to be roommates with these two people. And I decided to tell them because I thought it's not fair. If we're going to be roommates, I should tell them that I'm gay. So I did. And it never occurred to me to say to them, like, this is between us.
Oh.
And what they did was they went and told everyone that we knew that I was gay. And from that point forward, I was shunned by everyone who I thought was my friend. And this shaped my entire personality.
Sure.
Because I experienced this. This hurt me so deeply. And I learned basically to not trust people. So I live with that to this day. I still feel that way. That I'm completely out now. Everyone knows, blah, blah, blah. But I still feel that I still experience it. Like when I contacted some of the people from my old high school because I wanted to do some research for the Goldies, I connected with some of them on Facebook, and some of these people, because they have like a Facebook page for my high school class.
Oh, okay.
Some of them shun me, Well, I get it. It's just part of life. And it hasn't changed all that much for a lot of people. We have a lot of friends and allies, but not everybody is.
Yeah.
And I've grown to accept that. I still notice it. Put it that way. I don't let it really hurt me,
Right.
but I do notice it, and I do notice the people who do it, and I do my best to not let it really, affect me the way it did back when I was a kid.
Right.
Because that really hurt. When my friends all of a sudden weren't my friends anymore, that really hurt.
Well, you know what? They weren't your friends, actually. They really weren't, because if someone is going to just dismiss you because of that, they are not your friend.
You're absolutely correct. That is the correct way to look at it. And it's the truth. They weren't my friends.
No, not really.
Because that shouldn't have anything to do with whether you like someone or not.
Exactly. I mean, this could be a whole nother show, but these narrow-minded people just drive me nuts. But anyway, it is Drag Wars and the Goldies time. First of all, let's talk about the covers, because as you well know, a cover can entice someone to at least flip through the book to see if they like it. And sometimes people will just buy a book because of the cover. Both covers are eye-catching, they're eye-popping. So, I mean, man, you nailed it. So what was your muse? What went into developing the covers?
Well, I started searching images
Okay.
because I knew the basic idea of what I wanted. Like for Drag Wars, I wanted real people on there, people who are actual drag queens.
Okay.
So I searched the image sites where you can obtain images, and make sure that you have the rights to use them.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and the look on their faces is so perfect. Should I hold it up?
Yes, please do.
Like, look at that look
I
that
know.
Fangula is giving to Pridezilla.
Shade, baby, shade. Shade.
And the two of them physically resemble the characters that I had created in my mind. And so these were just perfect. I love them so much. But that look on Fangula's face just kills me every time.
Show us the Goldies. Oh, yeah, I love that. I love them. I love that.
I wanted to find queer elder joy.
I like that.
Queer elder joy. That shows me that these people are proud of who they are. They're celebrating. They're not hiding. The minute I saw it, I knew that was the cover.
The cover.
So I think I agree with you. They are eye-catching. They perfectly capture, for me, the essence of what the books are about. So thank you for the compliment.
Oh, most definitely. Let me also say this. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. They're both Fang Ulicious. And we know what Fang Ulicious means. Fang Ulicious means they're fire.
Oh, that's perfect. They are Fang Ulicious. You're right.
Fang Ulicious.
And Fangula, of course, is searching for fame. So she's going to be so happy that you've coined a term now to have it be Fangulicious. And can I show my shirt?
Yes, please show. Just be the shameless promoter that you are.
What the hell, right?
That's right. I'm the same way. God damn it.
Here we go.
Show it.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So that is the image that Fangula in her debut performance has on her backside when she lifts up her dress and shows her logo on her panties, of course, during her debut performance. So talk about being shameless promotion. That's what Fangula does in order to get the attention of the people at the club. How's that for Fangulicious?
Oh my God, it's just Fangulicious. It's Fangulicious. That's Fangulicious. Fangulicious. And don't you ever forget it. It's Fangulicious. I said Fangulicious.
It's out there now.
It's so out there. Okay, look. Speaking of Drag Wars, tell us about this. Give us more of the synopsis. And then after you do that, I'm going to give you my review.
Okay. Outside of the club, a lot of the story takes place inside the club. But also outside of the club, these queens are leading real lives. This, for me, is the heart of the story, the part where all the drama and the joy of real life unfolds. Pridezilla, who's fresh out of Baltimore and wanting to make her mark in Philly, meets an elderly lady who becomes one of her mentors. She also meets a man at a drag queen story hour at a branch of the library, and a romance is born. Fangula deals with issues concerning her best friend, her new lover, her brother, and her mommy.
Wow.
Encased in drama, she struggles to find room for herself and how she fits into the world, if that's even possible. Only one queen can emerge victorious as the Drag Wars entertain us with glitz, glamour, and glorious performances. Who will triumph? And will the win be worth the price that has to be paid? Well, you have to read the book to find out, because I'm not going to tell you who wins or whether it's worth the price.
Ah.
But the story is entertaining. To me, it's, again, original, and it's real. It really is, for me, about real people in real life. Because drag queens do have real lives.
Of course they do. Yeah, definitely. I copied that. Now, Mr. Karl, here is Wyatt's review. Dun 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 dun. let me get serious. Seriously now, really. Overall, man, I see your continued growth as an author with both Drag Wars, and the Goldies. You've sharpened your voice. Both works are even more layered and textured. The erotica ranges from tender to raw, which is yummy, yummy, yummy. And the reader truly is like that fly on the wall, being able to see everything in an intimate way. And since I love alliteration, Jasmine Crockett, Representative Jasmine Crockett from Texas, I'll say that your writing is intense, innovative, insightful, and incandescent.
Wow.
Yes. And let me read you something that really struck me. This is from the Goldies. And we're talking about one of the characters, Marcus, who is, he's been diagnosed with he's living with HIV. He's on a fixed income. And you write this is from his voice. Now, as I age, I wonder what lies ahead for me. I was there to help those in need, and I was glad to do it, so much so that it became my life's work. But for older gay men such as myself, I'm worried that no one will help us if we need it. Where are the government programs specifically designed to help me and others like me? And if such programs don't exist, will the community step up to help? Will there be walkathons, dances, and parties to raise funds for us seniors? I have friends to help me for now, but what about 5 years in the future, 10 years or more? I'm worried about the future. So I want you to tell us more about the Goldies in a second, but what I want to say is that I love both Drag Wars and the Goldies, but the Goldies really impacted me because I'm a man of a certain age, and you're dealing with LGBTQ plus seniors in the Goldies, and that doesn't get talked about a lot in our community because supposedly our community is all about youth and being fabulously young and all that. But you are talking about, particularly in the Goldies, this thing that is so in the LGBTQ community, the whole aging piece. So I'm really happy that you did that. So let me shut up. I think you, first of all, want to do a reading from Drag Wars, right?
I do, but first let me thank you for your words. Thank you for understanding what the book is about. Both books are about. But the Goldies, yes, I do want to bring this idea of ignoring older queer people in life and in literature. Let's get over that. Let's get past that. Because I hear all the time that people want to read stories with diverse characters, and I support that 100%. But let's not forget about diversity in age. Let's not forget about the older people. I created these characters where they're looking back, but they're also looking forward. They have not stopped living, and I haven't stopped living, and I don't want to be quiet. I don't want to be pushed to the side. And every once in a while, not all the time, but every once in a while, it's nice to have someone acknowledge what people have accomplished in the past. And I plead guilty to not doing that when I was young.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to necessarily be the way I was, where I was just about people my age, and I wasn't open to listening to older people. Not that there were that many older gay people that were out there talking, but there were some. But again, I just want to open up this idea of diversity.
Right.
Because to me, every queer story is important. We can't have enough of them. And we need more queer voices writing. But I want to advocate for people who have been marginalized and underrepresented within our own community, let alone outside society. Because if our community can forget about older gay people, guess what straight people think about? They don't even, we don't even enter their consciousness.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate everything that you said. I would like to do a reading from both books. Am I allowed to do that or not?
Yes, you can. As Obama says, yes, you can.
Can I do my reading from the Goldies? You picked a beautiful something to read.
Sure, you can decide. You can choose which one you want to do first. Is fine with me.
I'll do the Goldies because you did the Goldies.
Oh, okay.
So this is where a character named Johnny D is trying to decide whether to go to the reunion or not. And he's talking to his therapist about it. So he's been in therapy for a long time. He had a lot of trauma in high school, and he's discussing what he wants to do.
Oh, okay.
So in part of it, he's talking to himself, but he's in the therapist's office, and this is what he says. We could have been friends or more, but instead, for whatever reason, they just used me for pleasure. And then they went out with their straight buddies, their girlfriends, whatever. I was never invited to do anything with them. All I got were signals to head for the bathroom and open up my mouth. Who treats another person like that, huh? Where the hell did they get the right to do that to me? I start to sweat, though the office is more air-conditioned than I would have liked, but these emotions run hot with me. Don't let them control you. I got out of there long ago. I'm free of them now, I tell myself. In 4 years of high school, I had one special moment. That's it. One special moment when someone was kind and intimate with me. It could have been like that all the time. It should have been. I realize that now, but in those days, I didn't know that was even possible. Tell me more, Dr. Pereira encourages. The kiss. The night when Richard Esposito kissed me while I was crying on the steps outside of a party, and I fucked it up. I pushed him away. That was my one chance, and then he hated me for ignoring him, so he never spoke to me again. It was like I didn't even exist in his world. How do you feel about him now? I wish that he understood that I had just spent about 20 minutes sucking dicks of dudes who were blackmailing me.
Whoa.
That's why I was crying, out of anger and rage at what was happening to me. And no guy had ever shown that kind of interest in me like Richard was doing. You know that Todd and Brandon wouldn't even think about kissing me or asking me to go out on a date or anything other than being their personal cocksucker. I like to think that maybe Richard would have been like, well, maybe he would have been my boyfriend, but I'll never know. What about your family now? Any regrets? My automatic response at the mention of my family is to sigh, sometimes repeatedly, as I gather my complicated thoughts and try to make it all make sense. I left Philly as soon as high school was over, and I moved here to Buffalo, New York, because my aunt lived here. I needed a change of scenery, but I also didn't want to be completely isolated from family support. Did I search for a gay community or gay friends here in Buffalo? No, I did not. I needed a break from even thinking about being gay. After all, my only experience with gay sex was being blackmailed into performing oral on dudes. I didn't look for friends or community because, to be brutally honest, I had no idea that such things even existed. Breathe slowly, breathe deeply. You're in a safe space, I remind myself. Of course I have regrets, I reply, a bit too hastily and hotly. Breathe slowly. You can do this. I went from being the class cocksucker to being a nobody in a town that was unfamiliar to me. I never had any girls in high school because even though Todd and Brandon never came right out and told the entire school what I was doing, there were plenty of rumors. It is impossible to keep anything quiet in high school. So the girls in our sister school refused to have anything to do with me, and I had to endure the stares and whispers from the guys in my classes.
Mm.
For me, the loneliness and isolation of my high school years was almost too much to endure. So high school wasn't good for a lot of people.
Well, you know what? Can I say something?
Sure.
This is actually a message that you should give Johnny for me. Tell Johnny that I said, if the men are swole and muscled up, they can have their way with me. You know, if they are swole and muscled up, they can have their way with me. I'm just saying, you know.
Johnny does come to that conclusion as well. But at that point, he's reliving these bad experiences that he had with a couple of the guys in high school. Right. But he does come around.
Yeah, I bet he does.
Because he is a Goldie after all. He's a gay oldie. So, but high school experiences can be profound and have a profound influence on people years and years later. So Johnny does run into one of those guys who used to abuse him at the reunion. And I won't say what happened, but they do run into each other. That's as much as I'll say.
And I will say, my audience, that there is a very intriguing confrontation near the end of the Goldies, and you have to read that to find out what it is. But okay, Drag Wars. Before you do a reading, let me say something that will both Goldies and Drag Wars, that your dialogue is so snappy and catchy. And what I laughed my ass off at was when you were talking about a certain character wearing a perfume called Eau de Costco. I said, what? Eau de Costco, Costco the store. And you know what? That just brought me back to those old 70s commercials about the cheap fragrances. Like, I can't remember any of them, but those cheap fragrances, and the models are saying, oh, this is so sophisticated. This is so wonderful. And you know goodness well that you could buy it for $5.99 in a drugstore. They're not that sophisticated if you could buy something for $5.99. And even $5.99 was cheap in the 70s.
Those little details are what brings a story to life.
Yes.
I like that you found that and enjoyed that.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so I'm going to be quiet, and you can please do a reading from Drag Wars.
Okay, for Drag Wars, there's a lot that goes on in this story, so I had a hard time picking out a scene. But this is a scene where Pridezilla is at a drag queen story hour at a library, the main branch of the Free Library of Philadelphia. Everyone attending the event had a reason to be there. I can't know what everyone is thinking, but I do notice that it's very easy to make personal connections. It's almost as if they're starved for some attention, as well as enjoying the brief respite from whatever personal problems and responsibilities they might have. The same is true for both the youngsters and the adults, although it's more pronounced in the adults. Of course, I know how distantly we treat strangers in public. Most of our lives were ignored by most of the people around us, whether we're on a bus, walking along the street, in a park, or anywhere else. There's a reason for this, but as a society and as individuals, we pay a price for our supposed privacy. Just before I begin to read, a mother approaches me holding her son's hand. Lady, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. This is my son, Jake. I'm Jennifer. So very nice to meet you, Jennifer. I'm Pridezilla. And who is this handsome fellow you have here? I'm smiling at Jake, who doesn't return the gesture. He's looking at the floor, making a motion with his right hand, his right fist, clenched tightly closed. Oh, Pridezilla, what a lovely name you have, she tells me. Jake is on the spectrum and nonverbal. He pulled me over here because he's drawn to the color purple, and of course, you caught his attention. Would you mind if he sits with your group? I'll stay close by to be sure he behaves, but I don't think he'll give you any trouble. Of course he can join us. Find a seat, Jake. His mother walks him to an empty chair, but Jake chooses to sit cross-legged on the carpeted floor instead. It's fun to read the story of Rio and Jin to the group around me as I watch their young faces reflect their emotions, listening to the story of the two boys and their adventures. Questions, of course, are always welcomed. Xavier asked, Miss Pridezilla, are you gay? Trying not to chuckle, I answer, well, Xavier, first, my name is Pridezilla, like Godzilla. You know him, right? Xavier laughs and covers his eyes, but he knows I'm not upset. And yes, I am gay. I'm proud of who I am. I want everybody to be proud of who they are. You understand that? Yes, Miss Pridezilla, he replies, emphasizing the correct way to say my name. Carol Ann joins in the conversation. My two moms are gay, and I love both of them. Oh, sweetie, that's beautiful, I tell her. I thought your name was Bridezilla, like the ladies my dad likes to watch on TV, adds Cooper. But now I get it. Your name is about pride, being proud of who you are. Exactly, I beam at the entire group. Kids this young, already accepting and understanding, could provide examples for many adults I know. Once I finish reading, the kids select coloring pages and set to work on their projects. I see Jake still seated, fidgeting a bit by himself on the floor. I grab 2 coloring sheets from the table, getting down on the floor to meet Jake at his level and start using a big purple marker to color one of the sheets. I don't bother to color within the lines. If there's one life lesson I've learned, it's that it's perfectly okay to draw and color outside of the lines. A faint smile shows on Jake's face as he grabs a marker, also purple, and scribbles on the sheet. I don't know if I made Jake feel joy today, but he has undoubtedly given me great joy just by his very presence with us today. Suddenly, a loud commotion is coming from the entrance to the library. Loud voices, thumping footsteps, my heart jumps. 3 white men, dressed in combat fatigues, carrying flags that show their Nazi affiliation, are marching in, chanting, "Death to drag queens! Death to drag queens!" I'm horrified, scrambling to my feet. My first thought is to protect the kids, so I call for them to get behind me. I'm prepared to fight. So that is how, unfortunately, drag queen story hours sometimes end. And just yesterday, I'm going to throw this out there. It's totally unrelated. I probably should, but just yesterday in Harrisburg, they showed on Twitter Nazis marching on the streets in Harrisburg. It's so horrifying. That's why scenes like that need to be told. People need to know we're not the problem. The drag queens weren't the problem. The Nazis coming to attack the children and the drag queens are the problem. Let me be quiet before I say too much.
No. I'm glad you brought that up because sometimes it seems like, Robert, we're not in 2024, we're in 1924 when the Klan was parading up and down Washington, D.C. I think that was 2021. So it's just really effed up. However, since I've made a bit of a point in this episode about indie authors, because like I said, stop it! You gotta stop writing 2 books at one time! Anyway, let's talk about the plight of the indie author. What are the keys to success, the prescription for success? And what does success mean to you? Is it the number of copies of a book sold or that you're touching hearts and minds? So let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, the whole idea of being independent, the reason that I am independent is that so I can write with my own voice without any editorializing. I don't want someone telling me, oh, don't call them Nazis, call them something else.
Right.
I'm going to call a Nazi a Nazi. Okay. That's my decision. I'm going to go with it. I'm not listening to anyone else. So that's the good part of being independent. You can say what you want to say. You can get it actually out there. The big part of it, the difficult part of it, is the promotion. That's why I'm here today. I'm here to promote these books. I want people to read them. How do I define success? I don't define it in numbers, no. But would it be nice to have thousands and thousands and thousands of copies sold and read? Yes, it would be wonderful. So if you're hearing me, go out and buy the book. Read the book, review the book, do that stuff. I'm here to promote. I'm promoting right now. Can I shout it any louder? I'm going to wake up Zuna. He's going to wake up thinking, what's Papa doing? What's he hollering about? I'm hollering about promoting books.
And Zuna is your dog. I call him Big Boss. But you know what? You know what you do so well, Robert, is you are so consistent with your social media presence across the social media landscape. And I find that you do it intentional, strategic, welcoming, very effective. You allow us into your world. It's not only about your books, it's about your politics, your friends, your family, gay history. And like I said, then there's Zuna, your pet, who is the big boss who calls all the shots.
He loves being the center of attention. Man, oh man, you've seen him. You've seen those pictures. He loves it. He eats that up. And I read every comment to him. I tell him how many likes he got. And he is the happiest little guy in the world. I love him so much. But thank you for everything you said about social media. Social media is a bear to conquer, but you keep at it and you just keep at it. And I sometimes have a really good time on there. I know Twitter has a bad rap, but what I like about it is that I can say whatever I want, and I can say it as many times a day as I want. On Instagram, I think if you post more than once a day, you're really looked down on. That's
I didn't know
strikes
that.
me that way.
Yeah. I think you're right about that. I think.
Yeah, but on Twitter, I can post 20 times a day. Nobody says, oh, you're tweeting too much, blah, blah, blah. They like it or they ignore it or they do whatever. And I feel just like I can say whatever is going through my head at the moment, I can just tweet it out. And I know it's not a welcoming environment for us from the top down. Right. And I will fight against that, but I don't want that to be my main priority. I want to talk about what I am interested in. And on Twitter, I feel empowered to do that. Even if my account is suppressed because of the type of content, I'm still allowed to put it out there. So Instagram, I love because it's so visual, and I really like that part of it. But I really feel like you have to be kind of reserved. You can't just be on. I've never seen anybody post on Instagram like 20 times a day. But I do that on Twitter. But social media is, for me, about promoting books. It's about promoting and supporting other queer projects, not just authors, but including authors. That's one of my big interests, but other gay projects, helping gay youth and helping to standing up for trans individuals who are just so reviled in certain areas of social media. And I always try and raise my voice in support of them. Right. So, social media is an important tool. We have to learn to use it.
Well, a little birdie informed me that you are the upcoming cover story of Demode magazine's new literature issue. Congratulations. the magazine has profiled you before. So tell us about that, and give us the details about the cover story and the magazine itself.
Demode has several different kinds of issues. They focus on different things, and they do have issues that focus on literature. So I've been lucky enough to have my books featured in their magazine. And Club 3 a year ago was featured in Demotive Literature. But they follow me on Instagram, and they saw when I was talking about writing 2 books at one time.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, "What? Well, we think that's a pretty cool idea. We think that's unusual." And let me assure you, look at this face. I never imagined in my life that I would be on the cover of a magazine. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. But I mean, this never even was in my head. But when they approached me, I thought about it, and at first I thought, no, but then I thought, why the hell not?
Of course.
Why shouldn't I? Because they're celebrating me, and I want to celebrate me.
Absolutely.
And I think being on the cover of this magazine is the coolest thing ever. I can't wait for it to come out. It hasn't come out yet, but it should be out soon. It might be out by the time people are listening to this. But I'm very excited about it. There's like a 10-page spread inside the magazine all about me and all about all of my books. So how incredible is that?
You should, I mean, congratulations. You should be so proud. And what you do is you put that sucker in a frame and you just hang that. You know, what you could do is just put multiple frames, just put them.
Next time it's going to be back there.
Right. Your living room, your dining room, your bathroom, your kitchen. It doesn't matter. Next to Zuna. You just do it because this is an honor, man.
I agree. And I am very, very pleased about it, especially because they happen to be advocating these 2 books, which to me, again, are about underrepresented and marginalized people in the community. Drag queens are celebrated in certain programs. Outside of that, no. You know, I've never read a novel where drag queens are the main characters. Never.
That's true.
And I've looked for them to see.
Right.
So I am trying to, again, give voices to groups within our community that don't always have a voice. Now they are all over YouTube and, you know, everything with the drag shows, but I wanted to go behind that and present them as real people and having real lives. So that's why, pardon me, a big part of Drag Wars doesn't take place in the club. It takes place as they live their lives. But anyway, back to the magazine. It's very exciting. It's a great opportunity, and it just, like, I'm celebrating. This for me is joy. This is the definition of joy. Me, at this stage of my life, accomplishing something like that, it's like my mind is just blown by it. So thank you for bringing it up.
Oh, my pleasure. Oh, you want to give a special author shout out to somebody? I
do. There is an author that I got to know on Twitter. Her name is Michelle Cobit. She writes under the name MG Cobit. She has spent years supporting authors. And she has a blog where she recently did a review of the Goldies, and she featured, and she talked about the Goldies on a podcast that she was on. And I just want to give a shout out, and I want to show one of her books. This is a young adult novella. It's called The Right Price. It says there LGBTQ 16 plus, because it's for young adults. That's the kind of book that I needed when I was a kid. It's a positive experience about young gay people finding themselves, finding friends, finding love, finding a family. It's beautifully written. And I just want to say thank you, Michelle, for writing it, because she has a whole series, this Verona College series. And this is the one that happens to be about some of the gay students. So, of course, that got my interest right off the bat. It's well written, it's appropriate for young people. And congratulations to you, Michelle, and thank you for always supporting other people, just like Wyatt does. Wyatt is another one who is constantly supporting other people and showcasing their work. And I appreciate both of you so much.
Well, in all seriousness, my friend, I appreciate you, and I love what you did, what you're doing with Drag Wars and the Goldies. Oh, can you spell her name and just give us her website address as well?
Yeah, her name is MG Cobit, Cobbett.
Uh-huh.
On Twitter, you can get her at capital M_COBBETT. And she's on mgcobbett.co.uk. She's from the United Kingdom.
Oh, okay.
mgcobbett.co.uk. Go to her site, and her support for other authors. When I saw the Goldies on there, it just was so exciting. And she wrote this beautiful review, and I have a page dedicated to my book on her blog. It's wonderful. It's just wonderful. So again, I appreciate the opportunity to mention her. Thank you.
Well, I love the UK because Wyatt is popular in the UK. So, hey, UK, yes.
There you go. One of the best parts of this is that she writes with British slang.
I love it.
Of course, that's her way of speaking. And I loved it so much, because to me, it just sounded like cool. So the dialogue is really neat inside the book. And again, I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Cool. Okay, now, Robert, before we go, and thank you for such a great conversation, why should we buy Drag Wars and the Goldies?
I want to say the main reason to buy them is that you'll enjoy the stories. You will enjoy these stories, whether you're gay or not, whether you're older or younger. I think that they have universal appeal. I also think by buying these books, you can help to make these concepts more acceptable in other books. Mm-hmm. Because if authors see that Drag Wars is doing well, they might be inclined to write their own stories about drag queens. And I'm totally supportive of that. I'm not the drag queen expert. I'm not a drag queen myself, although I did talk to drag queens to get some insight while I was researching the book.
Oh,
okay. And if they see that the Goldies is doing well, maybe people will be inclined to include some older characters in their stories. I would love to see that. So those are the two main reasons. You will enjoy the stories, and hopefully you will help to inspire other authors and other creatives, because it doesn't just have to be books, TV shows, movies, whatever. Include other people, other groups of people that maybe you wouldn't have thought of before. So those are the reasons. Very good reasons.
Now, where can we buy all of your books and your wonderful merchandise? Because it's all Fang Ulicious. It's Fang Ulicious.
I have to make a Fang Ulicious t-shirt. That's all I know. You can find me at robertkarlauthor.com. robertkarlauthor.com. You can find my merchandise. I have a store at clubpride.org. So there's all kinds of Pride merchandise available there. And of course, Fangula would slap me if I didn't say, go visit fangula.com, because she has a few things to sell herself and she has a few things to say. And I love Fangula, and she is Fang Ulicious. So that's robertkarlauthor.com, clubpride.org, and fangula.com. And follow me on Twitter, rkarl, RKARL.
Did you mention your Instagram and your Facebook?
No, I did not. Instagram, Robert Karl _NPR, as in Puerto Rico, Robert Karl _NPR. And on Facebook, just look up Robert Karl. I know they give some other kind of number there, but I don't know what it is. But you'll find me. And if you don't, send me an email. And my email is robert.karl.author@gmail.com.
Spell
robert.karl.author@gmail.com.
And spell your last name, Robert.
Karl.
Got it.
Don't call me Carl.
Well, y'all heard that.
Well, a lot of people do.
Oh, they do? Okay. I get it.
You know, people who aren't paying attention, you know, they'll say, hey, Carl. They're like, oh, boy, here we go. So that's a personal aside. What can I say? I have two first names. I actually have three, but people know two of them. Karl, Robert Karl.
Well, Mr. Robert Karl, thank you for dropping by. Wyatt, it's always a pleasure, and congratulations on the wonderful Drag Wars and the Goldies.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity. I so admire what you do. And so I'm very proud to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend.
Cheers.
Yeah. So y'all, there you have it. You can find the official Wyatt podcast page at WyattEvans.com, the go-to destination for LGBTQ plus news, features, commentary, and entertainment. WyattEvans.com is visited by more than 100 countries on the regular. All I can say to that is, hey, baby. And at WyattEvans.com, you'll find my smoking hot, HAWT hot, Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels. And as you just saw on the top, the newest installment is called Shattered. I said Shattered. And y'all, Shattered is full of action, danger, intrigue, sexually charged situations, passion, and all of the wonderful elements that you're used to in the Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels. So get your new copy of Shattered. Now you can follow me, your host, Wyatt O'Brien Evans, all across social media, and poof, is right there for you to peruse, like TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And if you have any comments or whatever, you can hit me up at wyattonair@gmail.com. So until next time, y'all, woof, goddammit, woof, 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 woof. I said woof.